what's up? Welcome back to the CEO Pulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. Back on another Mindset Monday podcast with my co-host, Justin Thorstad. I had to. It was right there. It was right there.
Well, I shouldn't have said anything.
Really cool, interesting topic. Actually, we were driving on the way here because he gave me a ride to the office, and he was on the phone having some, coaching conversations and whatnot. And the topic of being open to receive came up, right? So the comment of being open to receive came up, and it's actually one of the things that I've personally struggled quite a bit with. I've had the tendency to be, to provide. But when it comes to receiving, I think a lot of the entrepreneur, people out there, especially the hard driving ones, like we're thinking of problem solving, we're thinking of contribution, we're thinking of giving everything back to the world, and sometimes being open to receive can be a challenge. So it may be a woo-woo, style topic, but like you say, is it really? It's really not. I mean, it's absolutely a way of thinking. It's an entire mindset on its own, right? How open are you to receive the blessings of the efforts that you're putting out there on a regular basis?
For sure.
It's huge.
Yeah, and we can really kind of branch this off into two ways that we mean open to receive.
Yeah.
So the first way, and this is the most woo-woo, I guess we could say, is the perception of people taking in this information is, if you think about it, like how you show up to a thing, a strategy as an entrepreneur, right? I'm starting a business and there's just so much to it. I love that process. That's why I got 5 going at once. Anyways, like the conversation you have with yourself sets up a state, a mood, right?
Right.
So if you're thinking about the infinite possibilities and you're excited, like that sets up an energetic state.
Yeah.
And you're all in, right? That's a great state of receptive, meaning allowing. So like as you're moving forward, things can just unfold naturally, effortlessly. Like we've talked about it before, the flow state, right?
Yeah.
When you're in flow, it doesn't matter what. You show up and do hardly anything, and it just all unfolds for your benefit.
Yeah.
That's receptive. That's you energetically not blocking things and allowing yourself to receive all the good and abundance that's omnipresent, right?
Yeah.
And so when we start looking at the problems of the whatever we're faced against, and the work and the effort and the load and the stress, what's your state? Like the energy is doubt, worry, fear, anxiety, right? And that actually sets up not only some walls so that you block that which you desire to receive.
Right.
It just, it's what a shitty way to be. And I'm not going to say that I've mastered this by any stretch of the imagination. Like I find myself there at times too.
Yeah.
So it's just
all the time. I mean, same thing happens to me all the time. Yeah.
It's just what we have done is gotten better at catching it, the awareness of, I'm blocking myself from receiving anything that I desire.
Yeah.
And then that means that like you got to work harder, more effort. You got to move your flesh puppet through time and space and grind and manipulate. It's just so ineffective compared to that flow state of, I'm open to receive anything. And I think the biggest disconnect with that being receptive is a lot of people think they have the mentality that in order to get what I want, I got to earn it. I got to deserve it.
Yeah.
And as evidence that I'm deserving, look how much I put in effort. It's like, well, hey, that's not wrong. It's a way, but it's a lot slower. It's a lot more ineffective than the way we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So like the amount of effort has nothing to do with it. Because all results are predictable based on the conversation you have with yourself before you even get started. Think about it. If you're insecure, unsure, not confident, lack experience, and you move forward with that, you got a lot to learn. Yet if you get there and you're just like so excited and you're like, I'm a student, I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, I'm okay with that because I don't know what I don't know. Here we go, like ass on fire with enthusiasm. Like, a lot unfolds. Certain people just come across your awareness and connect you to the next thing that you need in order for the unfoldment and attainment of what you desire. Like, how fun is that?
Yeah. No, I think you make a great point, right? It's also, I think, one of those things that leads us to shut down inevitably. Like if we're not open to receive, it means that we're on this like this one track, flow of energy, right? It's output of energy, output of energy. But what about the replenishment of energy that we need as human beings? What
100%.
about, stopping to smell the roses and counting the winds and that sort of thing? I think that plays into that being open to receive portion of it. I know I've been guilty of this in the past quite a bit, where I'm just going through the motions and taking action and doing this and doing that and put a goal and set it and crush it, boom. Then before it's even completely done, I'm already looking at the next
Resetting.
thing. Yeah, I'm resetting and looking at the next goal and that sort of thing, but not necessarily enjoying the energy of the moment, right? The energy of the win, of the good vibe that comes with it. And I think all of that, personally, I feel like it stems from spending so much time in a state of survival, right?
Yes.
And especially if you're a bootstrap business, you're launching, your time and your effort is the equity that you're putting into the business.
Yeah.
And to me, that was exactly the case. There were so many years where I was trying to figure shit out because I had to figure shit out. It wasn't when I was going to die of hunger. Nobody was going to feed me.
Yeah.
And then got into this track, right, of this is how I perform. I do things. And I started getting some results and kind of crawling out of that hole little by little. And then I didn't realize it, but I was out of that hole for a while and I was still operating under the same premise, right?
Yep.
And not really being open to receive, open to flow with the same amount of energy that I was putting out there. And it's gotta be a two-way. When it comes to energy, we have to, be open and be aware, right? That we're also magnets. We're magnets of the good stuff, as opposed to having to go fetch it all the time.
Yeah.
We can be, exactly. We can be magnets of good vibes, good relationships, good conversations, good experiences, financial magnets.
Absolutely. So when you climbed out of that hole and you had arrived to a state where it was no longer survival, now you get to thrive. However, not having the awareness because it was just a mode of operating, right? It's a mental model. It's a construct.
Yeah.
How was your relationship to somebody giving you something? Like a contact, a lay down, hand me down, like a free deal? Like, how was your relationship to that? Or even someone like just bringing you a lunch out of the blue? Like,
It really, so this is how it kind of went for me. I was under the idea, right, that anything, like you said, anything that I do, that I accomplish, I have to earn it. And granted, we have to work for livelihood, right? Like we have to put some effort into it.
Yeah.
But I was so closed off to asking for help. Mm-hmm. I feel like I was in a space. It was more of an ego, confined space where I got to figure this shit out, and like I'm not being the man that I'm supposed to be, right? Put any context that you want to that.
So somebody gave you something that was supportive, and you didn't want to receive it. If you did receive
it felt awkward.
Yeah.
If I got help, if I received something, even now, man, like when somebody gives me a present or something like that, I still have like, I know how to enjoy it a lot more than I did, years back.
Yeah.
And it used to feel awkward. If I was giving something, it felt great. But if I was receiving something, it just felt like, it felt weird for me.
Yeah.
Now, that's my relationship with the universe. That's my relationship with, abundance and energy and all that stuff, right? Like that's, if I look back at my track record, when I used to think that way about receiving, like that's when I was having a real time, like a hard time getting results. Yeah, grinding and doing all kinds of stuff, twice as hard to get half the results.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. And again, it may be one of those woo-woo, type of topics if you're a very pragmatic person out there, right? But I think at the end of the day, there's certain things in life that they're hard to articulate. They're very hard to explain. I don't understand quantum physics. I just know that this is how this shit works.
Yeah.
The more open I am to receiving, the more open I am to putting good stuff out there and understanding that good stuff comes back, the more it happens.
Well, yeah, it all comes down to the law of compensation, law of reciprocity. But to your point about like quantum physics, if anyone knows about quantum physics, and I have a lot of questions for you. I understand some things, but I'm not an expert, and I'm a kind of nerd like that. But here's the thing. If you're not open to, let's say, this topic, because it seems a little woo-woo,
Yeah.
we're talking about energy and so forth. Let me just ask you a question. Do you know how electricity works? Because I don't think anybody does. It's a theory. But you don't need to know how electricity works to walk over to the light switch and flip it on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you just know it's going to work. And so the thing about receiving, okay, so when I was, I want to say 12, 13, we lived in a tent down at a campground for a couple weeks because my mom was a single parent. And, I mean, she just lost it all. Not that we had, a lavish lifestyle or anything, but I remember going with her to the local church to get a box of food, man.
Yeah.
And big white labels on it. It was like not stuff you really wanted to eat, but that's all you had. Powdered milk, just add water. And outside of that, my mom would never accept a handout ever. No money, no nothing. Like a lot of pride.
Yeah.
And so that's what I modeled. That's how I grew up, right? And so it doesn't matter how desperate I was, don't ask anybody for help because it's a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're not capable. And I'm like, I'll be damned, right?
Yeah.
However, then one day somebody asked me a question. They said, Justin, you give a lot away. Yeah. How does that make you feel? I said, well, I mean, it feels good to give. I like seeing the smile on someone's face, and maybe giving is connecting. Like I sent that lady over to you, right?
Right.
And she was so excited. It's like, man, that feels good.
Yeah.
And they're like, awesome. Do you know you're a fucking taker? I'm like, what are you talking about? Because you never allow anybody to experience those emotions by giving to you because you won't let them. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I'm a taker. I'm being selfish and I'm only giving so that I can get those emotions. Not exactly, but you know what I'm saying? And I'll never give anyone else the satisfaction to feel that way with me in the relationship. And it's like, oh man, that's true. Like how one-sided. And so, but I love what you said about that. Like if you're not willing to receive from another person, whatever that is, like chances are, well, let me reframe that. What you do here is what you do there is what you do everywhere. How you do one thing is how you do all things. And so if I'm showing up that way to a startup, a new business, a partnership, like I'm fundamentally blocking the success I desire.
Right.
Because there's something about my energy, my state, my perspective with this endeavor or this person or the situation that is in resistance.
Yeah.
And if I'm in resistance to a thing energetically, man, I am blocking it for sure. Like I am not receptive and open. I'm not allowing it to come in. I'm repulsive. It's like magnets. It's either attraction or they repulse. There is no in between or kind of, sort of. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I was reading, I love The Power of Intention by Wayne Dyer. And I was reading a passage this morning, and he's talking about how boats, I mean, they were made out of wood, right, for the longest time. We're talking thousands of years. They were made out of wood because everybody knew that wood floated, right? So you want something to float, you're going to make it out of wood because the material floats. And then somebody started they started contemplating what else can be used, right? But they weren't contemplating how things sink. They were contemplating how things float. And they came up with what do you call it? It starts with a D, displacement. So they started understanding that boats, they won't sink if enough water is displaced, right? And you can displace that water with metal, which doesn't float yet. It's doing displacement, and the boat's gonna float now. So I think it's to the point that you're talking about. It's when we contemplate something from the eyes of the opposite, right? So we're thinking about receiving in the sense of scarcity, or receiving in the sense of like it's gonna block my ego, or I'm not, I haven't earned it, or that sort of thing. It's gonna create a bad taste to it, right? Yeah. And I mean it's important to realize, right, that there has to be a symbiotic relationship. Like we whenever we close ourselves off to receive, we're shutting down that energetic connection with other people around us, giving other people the opportunity, right, to feel the same way we do when we give. And then the universe as well. Like everything. I mean, everything in the ether,
It's all
comes.
connected.
Yeah, it's all connected, right? So we're shutting down without having the awareness that we're doing it. Like that's a big problem.
Yeah, it is. And here's the thing. The only part of us that would close us down and be repulsive to that energy of receiving what we
Yeah.
desire is a self-imposed limitation. It's a story. Like no one's born with an energy of repulsion because we're all connected.
Right.
And so if you want to, for the people that are thinking, oh, this is kind of a woo topic, let me check out, it's like wrong. Because if you have the belief that, okay, if I want to win at something really big, if I want to obtain or achieve this,
Yeah.
I got to work hard. Says who?
Yeah.
Like that's a mental model that you believe is true. It doesn't make it true, right?
Right.
And where did you learn that and why? And is it serving you? Or, I'm just not a deserving person. Where the hell did you come up with that? What makes you like stand in that truth? Like it's real. They're self-imposed stories that have been practiced over God only knows how long, probably started when you were a kid, that you just rehearsed so many times that it's just like a belief that you think is true, but it's just a story. And so if you install that story, you'd have to agree then you can install any story. Like, I'm already worthy and deserving. Well, what makes you think you're not?
So if you're that type of person, right, that's often close to receive and it feels awkward to receive, like I very much was, I've gotten better at it. I haven't mastered it. Sometimes still feels weird, right? To get my birthday was last week, and I was getting, thankfully, blessedly, I was getting showered with a lot of presents and great wishes, and like to a point, it felt almost like what's going on. You know what I mean? But it's I start picking up my relationship with it, with the sense of, with the sensation of receiving. Right? It's a beautiful space. It's a great space to be in. However, it's the fact that it feels a little strange.
Yeah.
It's a red flag.
So
how does somebody switch from that space to?
Yeah, I think a few things. Because when they come in that quantity, that's when you really notice it, right?
Yeah.
It was a couple of people saying happy birthday, whatever. You're like, okay, cool.
Hey,
yeah,
thanks.
yeah. But when it's a tremendous amount, that's when stuff gets triggered, right?
Yeah.
And so, this is how you transcend anything, regardless of what we're talking about. When you have the awareness to just notice that uncomfortable energy coming up and those thoughts rolling, right? And just notice the state and lean back from it for a moment and just realize that's my mind.
Yeah.
That's my body. And what's happening right now is not familiar. And I'm just going to witness it. I'm not going to get involved in it, meaning when the thought comes up, I'm like, yeah, you're right, mind. No, I'm not going to touch it. Don't push it back. Don't fight it. That's a whole nother thing, fighting it. Just be with it for a moment and realize that energy is going to pass. And then what I do is I could sit with that moment and think, okay, I'm giving these people an opportunity to feel that love, that of giving. And what makes me think that this is wrong or bad or that I don't deserve this, that I'm not worthy of receiving this? What is that belief system and why? So, there's all different kinds of methods and techniques that somebody could use. But at the end of the day, really, it's just an unobserved part of your mind that has a problem with this because you have a belief system and what's happening doesn't fit it. And if you could catch that and just be with it, you don't have to do anything other than don't get involved with it.
Yeah.
Just be with it. Notice it. And man, you'll realize just how ridiculous we are sometimes.
It's crazy. It's insane. I had, this is the most recent example. That's why I bring it up, right? But there were people that, drove 3 hours to be at the celebration with me. And that to me, just, that was through the moon, man. It was, it was really, really cool. And when I saw them there, when I found out, I was like, man, I almost felt, I can't believe they went through all that. I almost feel guilty, in a sense, but they were there having a great time, enjoying the time with me.
Did you want to do something for them?
Well, yeah, reciprocity kicks in, right?
Yeah.
And all that stuff. But it's, I stopped myself from all that. And I was like, no, this is, it is what it is. Just enjoy it, be open to it.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful, wonderful night.
Well, there's a saying,
Yeah, I mean, it ended up a little rough.
Well, I can imagine.
There was a lot of
What could go wrong?
There may have been some tequila involved.
It's an understatement.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was a great celebration. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it was, I was tempted multiple times to just, kind of, go back to that cycle where I'm thinking like, man, people shouldn't like. I'm the one that gives stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to receive that kind of, and it's
And it was a
actually
lot.
when you open yourself up and then you just let go and relax. It feels so good. Feels
Yeah,
so good.
well, there's a saying, givers gain, right? And so a lot of people can take that and go like, oh, okay, so if I want something, I got to give something. Well, first of all, duh, but not in a selfish manner.
Yeah.
Like the reason that we gain from giving is if you're open to it, what's available is when you give, it's that law of reciprocity, right?
Yeah.
It's going to come back. It's going to come back in different ways that are more in alignment with what you desire.
Yeah.
Maybe it's people, connections, money, whatever it is. And then the question just becomes, okay, well, what am I contributing? And not just by action, not just by how much money did I give away, how much time did I donate, how much did I give to others? What are you giving to the collective? Like, how are you showing up? I mean, you could be having the day off and you're going to the grocery store and to get gas in the car and just run some errands. How are you being while you're doing that?
Yeah.
What's your state? Are you in a good mood? Are you like, there's a little kid waves high at you. Do you wave back? Like, you know what I mean? Do you make someone smile? Do you hold the door open? Like
One thing that always happens, and I don't know, I'm very intentional about that kind of stuff, right? But the energy that I carry, and how is that affecting the people around me? And not that I'm trying to force the energy, right? But I just realize how it works. I realize how it is, and I'm telling you, man, like it's. So many times I go to the grocery store and I don't know, I'm gonna pay eggs and a gallon of milk, right? Whatever, 2-3 things, right? And there's somebody else in front of me with 5 things. They'll give me their spot, or they'll automatically start, strike up a conversation with me, and like it can't be because I'm so pleasant to talk to. I really do think it's just the energy of being, being receptive, right, to certain things. So it's interesting it's very interesting how we can be very open to receive. I'm very open to receive experiences. When it comes to help and when it comes to like, I don't know, in my head, it's and this is my own bullshit, right? But it's a different bucket. It's like, no, that stuff I have to provide for it. Like I gotta figure that shit out. Yeah, everything else. Smiles, great. Conversations, great. Good, good vibes from people, great. But when it comes to the nuts and the bolts of the thing,
I got to figure it out because if I don't, I got help. Then I'm not enough. I'm not
yeah,
smart enough.
exactly. And I think it goes back to that time or old fight that we have within ourselves. I think.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm saying, the message, the premise of all this is, drop the fight, man.
Yeah.
That's resistance, and so that's just what you can take a look at for yourself. Is like, am I in resistance to anything whatsoever?
Yeah.
And maybe it's just the mental construct, because it is, and work with that. Be with yourself. But like in business, have you ever known somebody that it seems like they don't do hardly anything, but they're always just hitting home runs and they have all this success?
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that, you see people that are just busting their ass, and we say they're deserving because they work so hard, but they just can't like catch a break to save their life. And in fact, what they do spend all their time and energy on is problems and obstacles.
Yeah.
It's like, don't you ever stop and wonder there's something at play here? Like, it's not on accident.
Yeah.
And it's just like those people that are super successful and they just keep having successes and they're not doing anything to create them. They just come to them. They're like, check in. They're receiving those opportunities because of their state, because of their belief systems, because they believe in woo-woo hippie bullshit of there's energy involved here. Like,
well, and I also think, like, at least for me, one of the things that kind of made logical sense of it, right, was that we're paying, when you're open to receive, you're paying attention. You're more receptive to conversations, to relationships, and you're just paying attention to, hey, listen, I'm gonna go to this event or something. Maybe if I hear something that's, I don't know, we're just, you know how when you're looking for that, red Volkswagen Beetle on the road, and you find it all the time,
Yeah.
like it's kind of like that, right? Because we're open. If you're not open subconsciously, right, and like it's not going to register.
Yeah.
And I think we have to start with a conscious effort to it, and then just let it ride.
Yeah.
From that.
I think, 100%. And so fundamentally, though, like what blocks people from receiving to making life easier, to earning more and working less, the relationship you want, whatever it is, like to just realize the only reason you don't have that thing is because you have a self-image, a story that fits the current result you have. And I know most people love to argue that. I'm like, go ahead. Because so what I'm saying then is if you want bigger, better results, you got to create a story about you that fits it vibrationally.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is just check into what are the self-imposed limitations I've installed in such a way that block me from receiving it. Go to work on that, because
the translation of that in simple words is what is your own bullshit story that you keep telling yourself,
right? Like who is it that you think you're not? And why?
Yeah.
Like, because you might be full of shit.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I think we all start with this idea, right? Like now I believe myself. I believe myself to be way more capable in certain things that I wasn't 10 years ago, right? So now it's easy for me to call, say, okay, I know how to, structure deals. I know, whatever.
Yeah.
There's different
experience.
Yeah, exactly. Experience is in there. So it's a lot more believable for me. But it didn't start off that way, right?
Yeah.
It didn't start like I didn't know what the hell I was doing, right? And so every success that you see out there has the valleys and the peaks and whatnot, but they didn't start off that way. The story had to be changed or built, right?
But thank God I at least had somewhat of a story of, but I won't quit until I get it.
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise we would have allowed those stories to just stop us from doing anything and then went a completely different path.
Yeah.
And for me, I would rather die than go that other path.
Yeah.
So I never did.
Well, I mean, I think that was going to be the end result anyway. So like if we didn't,
going out one way or another.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going out swinging. It's like, what was that movie? I'm not going back. No, it's I think, there's power in growing out of a state of survival. There's power in that.
Mm-hmm. Desperation.
Right? The desperation. If you channel it right, you're going to be able to put yourself in.
It's a hell of a motivator.
Yeah, it's a hell of a motivator, right? Now the danger comes when we don't realize that we're out of it, and we're still operating under the same premise, and we're still closed off to receive, for example, right? To accept new relationships or collaboration in our lives and blessings. A lot of times it's like, no. I mean, if a dollar in is a dollar out, and I need $100, like shit. I need 100 hours, for that, and it becomes this very fixated way of thinking and seeing the world, right? But it really doesn't operate that way, man. When you hit that, and I think saying a state of flow might be too much, but when you hit that spot where you understand that your energy dictates the environment around you. The way that you carry yourself, and I don't mean that professionally or with a suit or whatever. Like the vibe that you have, the way that you treat people around you, the good that you're intentionally putting out into the world, right? When you understand that matters, and that's gonna shape the life that you come across. It really is a game changer, right?
Absolutely, and the awareness I think I'd like to leave with everyone is we're always contributing.
Yeah.
Moment by moment, we're contributing. The question is what?
Yeah.
Am I contributing something positive, something forward moving? Like maybe it's just a smile is all I can muster up today, but damn it, I'm going to choose to be happy today, regardless of what's going on.
Yeah.
Or am I contributing doubt, fear, stress, and now I'm vomiting that toxic energy all over everybody else? Like we are more energy than we are matter. I mean, look, any science book, Google it, right? Like a molecule is 0.9999% energy and like 0.1301% matter. There's more energy than matter. This table is being held together, the molecules, by energy, right? That's what we are. Everything is. And so what is your energetic state? And I feel kind of blessed, to be honest with you, in the sense that growing up, I had plenty of evidence. My parents siblings, whatever, teachers, like, basically you're stupid. If you had a brain, you take it out and play with it. And so scholastically speaking, I just always thought I was dumb.
Savage.
Yeah, right? Like I barely made it through school, hated it. And but what I realized was when I realized that I had that limiting belief that I'm just not smart enough to figure anything out, that means, well, I might as well get into action and trial and error this shit. And that's also been super supportive for me because then I don't have to come up with a plan of how I think it's going to all unfold and have a 100-step action plan. Because I'm just like, however it comes together, it comes together. That's open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who am I to know how this success is going to be had if I've never experienced it before?
Right. We don't know what we don't know.
So I'm open to any and all solutions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I think is pretty brilliant.
Well, it's empowering too, man. I mean, I feel like sometimes, you know that dark room that we get into in our heads when we are faced with a problem, we don't know what to do.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's because, I mean, it happens because we're contemplating every possible option inside our head, inside our own known universe, right? But what about the stuff that we don't know out there?
Hey,
how powerful is that? Like how, somebody else's solution may come into the picture here, and we're not even, it's something that we haven't registered, right?
Yeah.
So I think that
too.
plays into being open, right? Being open to receive, solutions, receive energy, receive relationships, receive perspective,
all of it.
Receive creativity.
And I would just say for the people that want to no, it's got to be me. Do you really care how it unfolds and who supported you to get where you want to go? So long as it's legal, moral, ethical, right? Obviously. Yeah. Does it have to be you and you're the reason it all happened? Like, does your ego really require that? Or are you more committed to the end result?
Yeah.
What are we talking about here, right?
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, I think that's a big difference between collaboration and being a solopreneur, right? Like I'm a self-made person. I think, honestly, with all due respect, anybody who says that or claims that, I think, they're full of it because there's no, you had to be born from someone, right? Something shaped you, whether it was good or bad, something shaped that person and experience and, another individual, whatever, right? But we don't live in this world by ourselves. So anything around us is going to add to the person that we become.
Yeah. Nobody's self-made.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, I think it's a big fallacy, right? To think that we have to figure this shit out by ourselves, and that being in that sense being closed off because we're the sole provider of all the solutions in our universe is it's not necessarily the best approach. Right?
No, because then you'd be saying like, okay, so I'm limited to my own limitations. Yeah. And what's going to be better
limited to your own limitations? Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean. Yeah. It's like if it's got to be me and I got to be the smartest one. Like you're screwed before you got started.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you're limited in your awareness, in your self-awareness, skill set, knowledge, experience. Like, good luck. So
everybody listening out there, just have this as an awareness, right? Have this as a nugget, put it in your pocket, and then take it out and think about it every now and then. But you have, we have the ability to receive. We have the ability to tap into higher intelligence and people's perspectives. We have the ability, right? And we don't have to create everything ourselves. Everything out there is already made, right? We can be magnets, and I think that's part of what it is to receive, right? Are you a magnet, for good energy? Are you a magnet, financially? Are you a magnet for relationships, love, and good energy at the end of the day, right?
So one last thought from me is I think that a lot of people that think like if it is to be, it's up to me type mentality. What they're saying is that if it's only me, then I win. Now I have evidence that I'm worthy, and I'm going to say that's a way. But it's like the slow lifeboat to China. When you realize you're already worthy of deserving, you'll be open to receiving those relationships, connections, support in any way, shape, or form so that you can get to where you want to go because that result doesn't define you and your worthiness, it's not on trial.
I'm gonna urge you guys to study people out there who move quick. Who do you know in your sphere, public or private, whatever, but but that's moving through life super fast. I mean, how many we see a handful of people, right? Like they just they fly through results. They go from struggling or whatever to like success and all that stuff. Like they're naturally wired that like that. They're not even contemplating, the friction. They're receiving. Building networks, receiving relationships that open them up to different things, right?
Yeah, if they're that successful,
yeah.
they probably love themselves.
Exactly. So I mean, there's I don't know, do a little bit of a study on that. But I think if this is one of those underlying, I don't want to say evils, but I'm gonna say evil that's kind of like just sitting there and stopping us from I don't know reaching further out there. You know what I mean?
The good news is whatever's
yeah.
the blockage is, it's your mind.
Yeah.
It's you, and that's
Yeah.
good news because that means
Staying blocked.
you can control changing it.
Yeah, and staying blocked is the choice too.
100%.
So 100%.
Yep.
With that being said, my friend, where can somebody get a hold of you?
Yeah, JustinThorstad.com, social media, and website, JustinThorstad, I said that.com. It's a day. And my cell phone, 602-348-8534.
Beautiful. Fam, well, there you guys have it. Another episode of the CO Pulse podcast on the Mindset Monday series. Stay focused. You got this. Let's go.